This is part 6 of Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs by Caitlin Doty. This is the final segment of our book discussion, of our 3-hour-long book discussion. Thank you so much for dropping in, and we hope you enjoy.
What are your earliest memories of death? And do you remember how you were affected? And I can go first if no one is ready. But
Sure.
I think my earliest memory of death was grandma on dad's side. That was pretty early. And I remember feeling just kind of out of place and awkward. And I remember laughing at one point, or like stifling a laugh at one point. Like everyone was so serious and I didn't understand what was going on.
You were really little.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say we were both, very.
Yeah.
I don't really remember any of that.
I do remember that her corpse was a showing. Like I remember that, but I don't remember feeling creeped out or anything.
So
I just remember it being a thing.
I was 15, so you guys
okay.
were like little.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my other earliest memory that I had, and it is so pathetic, but it's just the way that it is. I mean, but my other one is when Miranda's hamster died. Like, I remember when her hamster died, and like, I think I did cry. Like, I remember the moment, like, I was in the kitchen and like, I was crying. I don't remember its name. Was it?
I think it was Hollywood.
Hollywood? I don't remember that one.
Was that the Blue House or
it might have been the gerbil otherwise. I think it was the hamster though.
Blue House.
Okay. Even though my house is blue again. So.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
And we lived in 2 blue houses.
Yeah.
That's true.
The bigger blue house.
Okay.
The big blue house.
The Oak Road blue house.
Yes. I was trying not to give away.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
That's okay. But yeah, so anyway, those are mine.
Tree Street.
Yeah.
I don't really have a whole lot of memories about death, and I think it's just because I don't know, they've never really like hit really hard, I guess. So like I don't know, to me death has never really been super sad. I don't know. I guess I just never really thought of it. I don't know. But I don't really have anything that was just like, I mean, I know when Uncle Buddy passed, I was kind of sad because I was there with Aunt Luann and Faith when that happened, but I wasn't, it was more of a empathy thing. Like I could feel their emotions, so I was feeling them too, but I don't know, death has never really made me super, super sad. I mean, I'm not like happy about it or anything, but I don't feel that like gut wrenching, like this is like absolutely terrible. Like, I don't know. I guess I just feel like they're probably more at peace now.
And I think it depends too, like how close you were with them. And I don't know. I haven't had anyone that I was personally super close to pass away. And so I understand what you're saying. It's like, you know, when grandma passed away, it was, you know, I was pretty young too, and we didn't see her a lot. And so it was, sort of like this surreal thing where you like.
It really didn't have an impact on your life, on your day-to-day life.
Not on the day-to-day, but it was very sad. But, and then, like when one of our uncles passed away, I got to see him that day, and that was we didn't see him a lot either, but I'm glad that I got the chance to go and say goodbye. But it was terribly sad because he just didn't look like himself. He was very sick, and it was hard to see someone that close to dying, and you knew that they weren't going to make it long.
And your first experience was?
Oh, my first experience, though. I don't know, maybe my first dog, Sasha. Like I
That's what
remember
I was
that
thinking.
and
Yeah.
being sad about that. But we have been fortunate that we haven't had a lot of people close to us pass away. I mean, I know there have been some, and
Right.
Mom, you've had more than us.
Well, I'm older.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've always felt really, I'll say blessed, because I have so many living close relatives, and I haven't had to deal with a lot of death throughout my life. I know I was really young when one of my uncles died in the Vietnam War. I don't remember when my grandpa passed away, but I remember his funeral, and I remember crying at it because my cousins wouldn't have their daddy at home anymore. So that was like my first real memory of it, and then a cat later on, and the hardest ones that have, my dad, and then I think the hardest ones for me have been my sister and then my mom. And and my sister, it still bothers me. I miss them both a lot. Uncle Buddy, I didn't know him well, but it was the empathy thing. It's like I know how hard it hit my sister and her child, and with Becky, and then her husband Tom passed, and it was kind of like an overwhelming numbness, almost just like this big hole.
It's so hard being there for right when your loved ones have people in their life that have passed. It's you feel for them, you
do.
And it's hard.
And I know, like with my mom, I was so glad I did get to see her, and that we had gone out in the last couple years, couple times, and even just, she is the first person that I have ever seen take their last breaths. And that was really difficult.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I'm also really glad I was there. So, that's really a real happy ending.
Well, I was also wondering if you guys had any any stories that you would like to share, specifically about death, like not necessarily about people that you've known or are close with, but just like encounters or situations that you weren't prepared for, or anything of that nature. And I have a couple examples too. If
Okay, go ahead.
No, you can go if you have something.
I was just going to say that I do check the obituaries, and I'm always surprised because I don't feel old. So I'm always surprised when I see someone my age that has passed away or younger. And it's like, and I don't know. It makes me wonder what they passed away from. And then it also makes me look at my life and go, just kind of recheck my life, and if I've gotten to do the things that I wanted to do or accomplish. And of course I haven't, because I'm human. So only part, the rest is alien.
True.
So, but that's all I was going to say.
Yeah. I guess like in college, I was like, for one of my criminal justice classes, we actually got to go to a morgue in Milwaukee, which was really interesting. They took us down to like, I don't know, it was a pretty like nondescript building, and then we went down into like a basement, and it reminded me of like a science lab, kind of, just like sinks, and just, it didn't smell or anything. And the lady was talking, and she's like, all right, any questions? And then like no one wanted to like speak up, and finally someone was like, so where are the dead bodies? And she's like, oh, I was wondering if someone was going to ask. And then she took us into this other little section. It wasn't very big, and like, I don't remember again that it's smelling like all that awful, just kind of maybe formaldehyde or whatever chemicals they use. But like yeah, there were I want to say, and it's so hard to know how many there were, but they were all covered, of course, but you could see the feet of someone who had been pulled out of a river, like that nearby. So like that was kind of like, it wasn't really creepy. It was just like weird. But like, yeah, I think if I had been in there alone, it might have been different. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then a neighbor like passed away recently. We like there were sirens and everything, and like that was really like I wanted to cry. Like I could see the stretcher come out of the house and with the person, and well, they covered the body, of course, but like you could see it, and like I didn't even know them, and like I felt awful, and it affected like the rest of my day.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
Definitely. Oh. Right, as much as, you know, this book is light-hearted and got us talking about this, right? Death is still a sad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we're joking and laughing and what-ifing, right? We are human and we do care.
For sure. Oh yeah.
This is very, we care very deeply.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to kind of leave this discussion with a rating system.
I like that skull.
I know, I like the glasses on him.
Resting on his non-existent nose.
Exactly.
Exactly. So the technical scale, how would you rate the book from a technical standpoint? So like the readability, the flow, the organization, on a scale of 1 to 5, I guess, 5 being the highest.
5 being like the most easy to read, or the hard,
the best. Yep, 5 out of 5 is good.
I'd say probably like 3. Like I feel like it was easy to read. For the most part, there were some like technical terms and stuff like that, but usually she cleared them up what they meant. I felt like the organization of the book could have been better.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it kind of went all over the place. Like you mentioned, even the questions, like we're going kind of between pets and whatever.
Yeah,
like
right.
I feel like they could have been ordered better, so they kind of were like grouped up with things pertaining to each other, kind of being
Gotcha.
I felt like that could have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
But otherwise I thought it was pretty good with the flow and how easy it was to read.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, me too. I'd maybe give it a
4.
A 4. But definitely the holdback is probably the organization.
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. You know, there's always room for improvement, I guess. But and then personal scale, 1 to 5, what would you rate the book? So like, I guess, like how did it affect you personally, or like, you know, like sometimes you just like a book even if it's not technically good.
For me, I'd say a 5 because it was easy to read. I could put it down and then come back to it and not lose anything. I mean, just because of the way she set up the chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And it really did make me think a lot more about my death and the death of people that I love. And I just thought it was, I thought it was really good. I'm not going to say I enjoyed it, but
no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But it, I thought of it as a good book, and it gave good information and took some of the scariness about death away.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I would maybe give it, I don't know, like a 3.5. So I think the thing that sort of turned me off a little bit, well, okay. So what I liked about it was that it sort of had this sort of like a light style to it. Like you could, when you read it, you could sort of hear like a voice behind it, where it wasn't, you know, it was very readable. But the part I didn't like is like she'd sort of make like a joke, or sort of like be lighthearted, but then she'd throw in some sort of like weird, I don't want to say weird. It's like she'd throw in a pop culture reference or something, or put something in parentheses that sort of extended her intention of the joke. And it, to me, it just sort of felt like patronizing or pandering or something. It just sort of felt a little bit like too much, like
trying too hard.
Yeah. It was like, oh yeah, this is funny, and then like, oh well, you just, it's fine,
I got it. Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yep.
So like, as far as like personal style, like I felt like it wasn't really like, I liked it, and I liked all the information, and for the most part I liked like the style personally, but there were those little things that I was like, you're just playing into it too much.
Yeah, I feel like
yourself.
on a personal standpoint, I probably would actually like put it like a 2 out of 5. And this isn't like because I didn't get anything out of it. I just like as far as how it like personally moved me, or like recommendability, I guess. I didn't like feel as like attached to the book, I guess. Like I thought it was really interesting, but
and informational,
and very informational.
Yeah.
It made me laugh and everything, but yeah, from a personal standpoint, a little lower.
Yeah, I think I'm with Angie, and like the 3.5. It's not something I normally would picked up.
No,
but I was trying to find something that was different.
No, I really like that. Yeah,
I'm definitely more of a fiction reader. Like usually I don't read any nonfiction really, like at all, like maybe a handful of books ever. So like it was definitely different for me. And after picking it up and reading it, I'm glad, but it's not something I normally would have picked up.
That's great. And that actually kind of goes into the, how would you rate it on a Gallimaufry scale? Which is, what is a Gallimaufry scale? How much did this book challenge you, or change you, or open you up to new ways of thinking?
I'm going to go again and say a 5, because not only what you mentioned, because it did give me different ideas to think about that I had never thought about, or information I never knew was there, but I also thought it was a very, very good book discussion book, which is kind of what I am looking at. It is, you know, I'm not going to say it changed my life, but I would say it was a very good discussion for
Did it change your death though?
No, it's still going to be by something really weird and strange. Icicles and knives may or may not be involved.
Yeah, I would give this book probably a 4 or 5 on the Gallimaufry scale, because it did change the way that I look at death, and like thinking about it more on the down to earth, like physical aspects of death. And it did open me up to kind of new ways of thinking about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say a 4 or 5, definitely for like the sort of randomness and discussion we're able to have about it.
Yeah, I'd say 4 for me too. It definitely made me realize there's a lot of things that I didn't know about death, and some things that were simply myths and not fact, and also gave me better appreciation for morticians.
For sure. Yeah, they don't get very much attention.
No.
And it seems also too, like if you hear someone say that they're going to school to be a mortician or something, like isn't that like, there's
so like,
just
like
there's kind of a creep factor.
What's wrong with you? Like, do you have some sort of psychology? Like, do you need to see someone, or like? And it shouldn't be that way.
No, it shouldn't.
And I know I know 2 people that are morticians, that one doesn't practice, they're husband and wife, and she doesn't practice anymore. And you'd never know that he's not the typical gaunt, serious.
Right.
I mean,
You think of a
lurch.
stereotypical, yeah.
Right. I mean, he's a very friendly guy, just really sweet,
Mhm.
and so is his wife, and and he rides motorcycle, and
He's a person.
he's
Yeah.
a person, yeah.
Oh my God.
So
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So anyway,
hmm So, yeah. So our next book that we are choosing to read, moving the thing, is The Bear and the Nightingale. And I was randomly picked to choose this one. So I decided to go. I had a couple other nonfiction books that were also like I was almost going to choose, but then I was like, it'd be kind of nice to change it up a little bit. And like, I don't know. This was a book that I thought sounded pretty interesting, but I just haven't gotten around to reading it. And it just seems like and it does have some discussion questions. So I felt like this is a perfect time to pick it up and read it.
Cool.
yeah.
So I'm going to read the back. Says, winter lasts most of the year at the edge of the Russian wilderness, and in the long nights, Vasilisa and her siblings love to gather by the fire to listen to their nurse's fairy tales. Above all, Vasia loves the story of Frost, the blue-eyed winter demon. Wise Russians fear him, for he claims unwary souls, and they honor the spirits that protect their homes from evil. It seems it's a pretty long back. I actually don't know. We'll just leave it at that. And
All right.
but yeah, so there's like fairy tales, and yeah, it's actually a trilogy, I think. So
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I saw that it's the first book in a trilogy.
if we
Cool.
end up liking it, then we can read the next ones. But
Cool.
And it's not nonfiction.
it's a fiction book.
Yes. Or not nonfiction.
Yes, it's a not nonfiction book by Catherine Arden. Yeah, so yeah, I guess this is, I hope you guys enjoyed the book club, and
I did.
Yeah.
so
Especially
just
like Miranda's sweater.
oh,
Thanks.
Isn't
it
it the green
yours?
sweater?
No, it's gray.
Oh, it looks green here.
Oh, it's not.
Anyway.
So speaking to the audience,
Hi audience.
Hey everyone. Thanks for
please,
watching.
yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share with other book lovers. Hopefully our little book club will inspire other people to choose books to read and discuss, because they are good excuses to have good conversation. It can be sometimes hard to find sometimes. So
Yeah.
feel free to comment with your book suggestions, and if you have read Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, what did you think of the book? And yeah, so I'm thinking too, if this book club picks up momentum, I might do a book giveaway, just because I like giving books to new homes, so it'd be kind of fun incentive. So yeah,
Cool.
so if you guys wanted to stay on after I hit stop recording, just so we can, would that be
Sure.
okay?
Oh
Just
yeah.
quick? Okay.
Yes. So we can
anyway.
say goodbye.
Yeah.
But for now, goodbye to
But
the
yes.
audience.
Bye.
Yes,
Thank
goodbye,
you for
audience.
watching.
Come
Hope
back
you
next
enjoyed.
time.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for stopping in. We really hope that you enjoyed this discussion on Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs? We sure had fun, so we are going to keep doing this. We are going to meet July 1st. Thanks so much for stopping in. If you have any comments, questions, ideas, please put them in the comments. We would love to hear from you. So until next time, happy reading.